An old lady decided to dig a 50-meter hole on her property in hopes of finding gold. However, what nobody anticipated was the astonishing discovery she would make instead. This video that pops up on your screen is surely going to move you. Don't forget to subscribe, give us a thumbs up and share. My name is Agnes, and at the age of 60, many would say I'm living in the quiet golden days of retirement. I was sitting on the balcony of my modest home, observing the gentle rhythm of suburban life. The rustling of leaves and the singing of birds were the soundtrack to my quiet days. Life for me consisted of small pleasures: a book in my hands, the garden I lovingly tended, and, of course, the TV shows I watched to distract myself. On that particular day, the sun cast a warm glow over my small garden, highlighting the beauty of the flowers that I took such great care of. Outside, the world seemed to be moving at a slow and predictable pace, but inside me, a feeling of restlessness was beginning to awaken. Maybe it was the monotony of my days, or perhaps it was just a dormant desire for something more, something exciting and extraordinary. With this feeling bubbling up in my chest, I laid back and turned on the television, looking for distraction in the news. I was soon greeted by animated journalists whose faces lit up with news that promised to break the stillness of the day. I squirmed in my chair, curious. "Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen," began the reporter. "We bring you an incredible story today, straight from a small town that is now on the map for an impressive discovery." The camera showed an ordinary house, but the backyard was anything but ordinary. There, a simple couple smiled, surrounded by cameras and curious neighbors, as they proudly displayed what looked like gold nuggets. "This couple here, ladies and gentlemen," said the journalist, "have found a real treasure buried in their backyard. Experts have already confirmed the authenticity of the gold, and now everyone is wondering what else could be hidden right under our feet." The news stunned me. Gold in an ordinary backyard? The idea sounded like something out of a fairy tale or an adventure story I used to read to my son when he was little. But there it was on the news, as real as the tea I was holding. The reporter's words echoed in my mind. What else could be hiding right under our feet? The possibility of discovering something so extraordinary in my own home stirred something inside me, a glow of excitement and a hint of daring mixed with my usual glee. What if I could find something like that? What if there were hidden treasures waiting to be discovered underneath the earth that I cared so much for? The news was over, but the seed was already planted in my mind. A plan that resembled an adventure waiting to be lived began to form. Maybe I was crazy, or perhaps it was just a dream, but lying on that quiet couch, I decided it would be worth finding out. The next day, after spending the whole night pondering, I made my decision. It was a new day, and with it, a new Agnes emerged. The elderly woman I was, who until then had been content with the same routine, now found herself consumed by a mission. I sat at the kitchen table, unrolling a large piece of paper to start planning my backyard. My dear backyard was about to become the stage for my great madness. In the center of the paper, I drew a large circle, representing the place where I would start digging. Here, I thought, this is where my life will change. It wasn't an impulsive decision, but a considered choice driven by love and necessity. My son and his family were facing difficult times in the city, and the news of the lucky couple kept popping into my head. What if I could help them? What if I could change everything? With that thought in mind, I picked up a small garden shovel and went out into my yard. The sun was not yet high in the sky, and the fresh morning air filled my lungs as I started digging. The soft earth gave way under the pressure of the shovel. At first, it was easy, almost therapeutic. But as the hole got deeper, the task became more challenging. And for those of you wondering how an old lady could dig a hole on her own, you must know that I wasn't always old. I used to work with my father in the fields, carrying bucket after bucket of corn, so I'm quite strong. Days passed, and the hole in my backyard grew larger and larger. With my remaining resources, I bought more suitable tools: a pickaxe, a bigger shovel, and even a small ladder to easily get in and out of the hole, which now resembled a small well. Driven by the vision of providing a better life for my son and his family, I was determined to continue. I kept the secret to myself, not wanting to worry my son or give him false hope. In my mind, I imagined the moment when I would call him, my voice trembling with joy, and tell him about the treasure I had found. I pictured his eyes lighting up, the financial pressure melting away like mist in the sun. "Mom found gold, darling," I would say, and everything would change. But as the days went by, something strange began to happen. My tea, which always waited for me warm and comforting after a long day of digging, now remained inexplicably cold. I would prepare it and put it on the table next to my bed, but when I went to drink it, it was as cold as if it had been forgotten for hours. And the television, my constant companion, now showed only a static screen, no matter which channel I chose. These peculiar occurrences perplexed me, but my mission was greater than such trivialities. I had a purpose, a dream, and nothing was going to stop me. With each passing day, with each layer of earth removed, I felt that I was one step closer, and with that hope, I continued tirelessly digging for the gold that would change our lives. Every morning when I woke up, I felt a mixture of excitement and anxiety. The idea of discovering something beneath the ground in my own backyard became more real with each passing day. I kept digging, driven by hope and the desire to change our luck. My body ached, of course. I'm not so young anymore, and my muscles complained, but the thought of seeing my son and his family out of financial difficulty gave me the strength to carry on. As the hole deepened, the earth began to reveal its secrets. Layers of soil gave way to more compact earth, which was more difficult to penetrate. With each stroke of the shovel, I imagined the glint of gold, the hidden wealth waiting to be discovered. But as the days went by, I found nothing but more dirt and stones. As I wondered when I would find gold, on a day that seemed like any other, my shovel hit something hard. My heart raced. Could it be? I thought as I cleaned the dirt around the solid object. Excitement pulsed through me as I dug around the object, gradually revealing its shape. It was long, hard, and strangely familiar. As the object was revealed, a cold sensation ran through my body. To my misfortune, it wasn't gold or a precious stone. It was a bone, a large, ancient bone lying there, a mute testimony to a long-forgotten past. For a moment, I was paralyzed as the reality of my discovery slowly sank in. A bone, I whispered to myself, filled with disappointment and confusion. But how? What? The idea of finding treasures faded, replaced by a darker, more mysterious reality. Yet something inside me refused to give up. Maybe there was my precious gold, maybe this was just the beginning. With renewed determination, I kept digging, uncovering more bones, each one bringing more questions than answers. What had once been a search for riches was now also becoming an investigation into the past. What were these bones? Were they dinosaurs or great monsters? What were their stories? The days followed, and the whole became an excavation. Each layer of earth removed revealed more of the mystery I had inadvertently uncovered. At night, I lay awake thinking about my discovery, what it meant and how it could change our lives. If I sold the bones, would they fetch a good price? While I continued my search, the world around me seemed more and more distant. The visits from my sometimes curious neighbors stopped, my tea remained as cold as ever, and my TV no longer brought me news of the outside world. I was alone with my mystery, a woman in her bones, linked by a quest that had transcended the hope of material wealth to become a personal journey in search of answers. As the days went by, the importance of my findings became more evident. The hole that I had started as a simple search for gold had evolved into something much more profound. Now, it extended into a vast network of tunnels and underground chambers filled with gigantic bones. I had unearthed what appeared to be an ancient cemetery or perhaps an archaeological site of great importance. Each new discovery brought a mixture of awe and fear. Could it be that animals, maybe even dinosaurs, had once roamed here? With each bone I cleaned and each object I examined, I pondered the lives that had touched these fragments of the past. Were these the bones of prehistoric animals or perhaps the remains of ancient inhabitants, giants of this land? However, as I delved deeper into my work, a feeling of isolation began to envelop me. The outside world seemed to have disappeared completely, leaving only me in the silence of my bones. The tools I used were worn and dirty, and my once careful hands were now rough and calloused. It was then, in a moment of clarity, that I realized the truth I had ignored for so long. My tea remained cold because there was no one to drink it. The television showed only static because there were no eyes to see it. I was alone, truly alone, accompanied only by the memories of those whose remains rested around me. Don't you understand yet? I thought. Even I had to accept my fate. I had set out in search of gold, but what I found was something much more precious. A connection to the past, a buried story waiting to be told, and now I was part of that story too. It felt as if something inside me had begun to change, a feeling of lightness as if my body no longer belonged to this world. My voice joined that of the bones, and in that moment, a strange peace enveloped me. Let me explain. While the sun was setting, painting the sky orange and pink, indicating that soon my world would be too dark to see, I was already about 50 meters deep. I had to climb up, but because I was stubborn, I kept digging deeper than ever. Then suddenly, the ground beneath my feet gave way. I had been very irresponsible. The rope I used to climb down wasn't tied securely. I only put it on when I was going to get out of the hole so that I could be more mobile while I dug. In the blink of an eye, the world spun, and I was swallowed up into the abyss I had created for myself. Everything happened so quickly, yet at that moment time seemed to stretch on indefinitely. I felt my arms trying uselessly to grab onto something to save me, but there was only darkness and dirt. Then with a deafening thud my body hit the bottom. It must have been a small fall because by the light of my flashlight, I could see that I was in an underground cave, the ceiling no more than 3 meters high. He'll never know, I thought. He'll never know how hard I tried. As I lay there lost in the darkness, something inside me broke loose. I saw myself above the hole, watching my own body lying motionless at the bottom of the earth. I was dead, a soul trapped between two worlds, unable to move on but unable to go back. Loneliness was overwhelming, a companion that reminded me of my failure. I had died alone, and now I lay forgotten like a secret hidden at the bottom of a hole in my own backyard. "Forgive me," I whispered at the memory of my son. "Forgive me for not being able to do more, for not being able to say goodbye to you." Time lost its meaning. I watched the world oblivious to my absence. Sadness and melancholy were my only companions, a constant reminder of the dream that had turned into a nightmare. So, I carried on like a shadow among shadows, waiting for something or someone to free me from the limbo in which I found myself. Time had passed since I began my solitary search, and the silence in the house seemed deeper than ever. The next day, as if fate wanted me not to wander for eternity, I heard footsteps outside. It was my son James, coming to visit me after months of not hearing from him. After all, I hadn't said anything, right? I was crazy enough to dig a 50-meter hole. The expression on his face was a mixture of concern and confusion as he approached the yard and saw the huge hole that now characterized our property. "My goodness, Mom. What happened here?" he exclaimed, running into the house looking for me. But his voice echoed in the void I had left behind. He called out to me countless times until he noticed something that made his heart stop. My tools were near the hole, indicating that I had climbed down. Overcome with emotion, he ran to the neighbors, shouting for help. It wasn't long before the police, firefighters, and authorities arrived, beginning a frantic search. After some time descending to the depths I had fallen, they found a scene that broke their hearts. Me lying at the bottom of the hole that had become my grave. As news of my death spread, curiosity about the hole grew. Archaeologists were called in to investigate the site, and what they discovered was impressive. The bones and artifacts I had found were priceless, belonging to an ancient and unknown civilization, even the bones of gigantic creatures which I had thought were dinosaurs. My backyard became an archaeological site, and researchers from all over the world came to study the discovery. James, still in mourning, watched it all with a mixture of sadness and pride. He saw the teams at work, heard the discussions about the importance of the find, and knew that somehow I had succeeded. My search had not been in vain. In a moment of silence, one of the experts approached James and said, "You have no idea what your mother has found. This place is so much bigger than we ever imagined. She was an incredible woman." His tone of voice revealed the magnitude of what lay beneath our feet. James looked at the hole, now a portal to the past, and felt tears run down his face. I was gone, but my legacy remained, deeper and more meaningful than any of us could have imagined. The archaeological site that had once been my backyard now bore my name, the Agnes Moore Archaeological Site. It became a tribute that echoed my determination and curiosity. The discoveries made there continued to amaze scientists and attracted curious visitors from all over the world. I, a simple old lady in search of a better future for my family, had left an indelible mark on history. After my pain and grief, James began to see the light again. The rights to the discovery and the compensation for the research on the site turned into a significant sum of money, exactly what I had always dreamed of providing. He was now financially secure, able to provide a comfortable life for himself and his children. After a few weeks, he found a video I had recorded on my first day. He watched me, my eyes full of hope and determination. "James, my dear son," I said, "I have found a way to help you and my grandchildren. There are treasures buried here and I'm going to find them. Don't worry about me, I'm fine. By the time you see this, I hope to have some good news to share." Amidst the turmoil of emotions, my dear son felt a mixture of sadness at my departure and gratitude for my last act of love. "She did it," he whispered, looking up at the sky. "She really did it." In his heart, he knew that somehow I was looking at him, sharing in the joy and pride of what we had achieved. I had managed to help my family even after my death. My legacy endured, and I was finally able to leave in peace, knowing that my love persisted across the barriers of time and oblivion. As the weeks passed, the buzz around the Agnes Moore Archaeological Site only grew. Documentaries were produced, and news outlets featured stories highlighting my unexpected contributions to history. James often found himself at the center of attention, not just as my son but as a representative of a legacy that had unexpectedly become significant. One sunny afternoon as he walked through the bustling site, he paused to take it all in. The sound of researchers discussing their latest findings filled the air, accompanied by the occasional laughter of children on school field trips. He felt a swell of pride knowing that I had played a role in this flourishing endeavor. A young girl tugged at his sleeve, her eyes wide with curiosity. "Is it true that your mom found all those bones?" she asked, her voice full of wonder. James smiled softly. "Yes, she did. She loved digging up secrets from the past. It was her way of telling stories." "Will you dig too?" the girl asked, her excitement infectious. "Maybe one day," he replied, his heart swelling with a mix of nostalgia and hope. As the sun began to set, casting a golden glow over the excavation site, James wandered towards a section where the most significant discoveries had been made. It was a small area roped off for visitors, adorned with a sign that read, "In memory of Agnes Moore, the brave explorer." Suddenly he heard a commotion nearby. A group of researchers gathered, voices buzzing with excitement. James moved closer, curiosity piqued. They were huddled around a large excavation pit, and he could see the glint of something metallic in the dirt. "What's going on?" he asked a colleague who was examining the site. "We believe we found an ancient artifact," the researcher replied, eyes shining with enthusiasm. "It appears to be a ceremonial dagger, possibly used in rituals. This could change everything we thought we knew about this civilization." James felt a thrill rush through him. My spirit seemed to whisper encouragement as he stood there, witnessing yet another piece of history come to light. He couldn't help but think how proud I would have been to see this moment. It was as if my passion for exploration and discovery had ignited a fire in others. The following weeks saw a steady stream of visitors flocking to the site. Families, historians, and curious minds alike all came to explore what I had uncovered. James often found himself leading tours, sharing anecdotes about me, and the perseverance that had defined my life. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of orange and purple, James gathered a small group of friends around a fire pit at home. They shared stories, laughter, and a few tears as they reminisced about my love for adventure and the joy I had derived from uncovering the past. "I still can't believe she did all of this," one friend remarked, raising a toast to my memory. "She's left behind an incredible legacy." James nodded, his heart full. "She taught me the importance of curiosity, of never stopping in pursuit of knowledge. This site is not just a testament to her discoveries, but a reminder that there's always more to learn." That night he fell asleep with thoughts of the site swirling in his mind. I had always dreamed of leaving a mark on the world, but I had never imagined it would resonate so deeply. The excitement and admiration surrounding my discoveries not only brought financial security to James but also rekindled a sense of community and connection in our small town. Months rolled by, and the excavation led to significant findings. One day, a renowned archaeologist announced that they had discovered the remains of a ceremonial center, suggesting that this site had once been a hub of culture and spirituality. This revelation sent shockwaves through the academic community, and James felt a sense of fulfillment knowing that my relentless pursuit of the past had sparked such monumental discoveries. Yet, amidst the excitement, James couldn't shake the feeling of longing for my presence. He often visited the site, sitting quietly in the spot where I had unearthed the first bones. One day as he sat there, he closed his eyes and imagined me beside him. "Mom," he whispered, his voice thick with emotion. "I wish you could see how far this has gone. You've changed lives. You've changed mine." As if in response, a gentle breeze rustled the leaves around him, and he smiled through his tears. He could almost feel me there, encouraging him to keep moving forward, to continue exploring and discovering. Years later, the Agnes Moore Archaeological Site would become a well-respected center for research and education, inspiring countless young explorers. James, now a respected figure in the archaeological community, often found himself giving lectures about the importance of curiosity and following one's passion. He spoke of me not just as his mother, but as a beacon of inspiration, a reminder that one person's journey could ignite a passion in others. In the end, I had left behind more than just bones and artifacts. I had given the world a story, a legacy of exploration and discovery. And while I may have left this world, my spirit lived on in every corner of the site, in every curious mind drawn to the wonders of the past. James knew that the journey didn't end with the discoveries. It was a continuing tale, one that would inspire future generations to dig deep, both literally and metaphorically, to uncover their own stories buried beneath the surface. If you like this story, activate the notification bell so you don't miss any of our upcoming videos. See you in the next heartwarming story.